It was Saturday afternoon in Los Angeles. Keanu had the day off. Rare occurrence given his filming schedule. He'd wrapped early on Friday. Decided to take the weekend to himself. No obligations. No commitments. Just time to do what he loved. Motorcycles had been his passion for 35 years. Since he was 23, he'd ridden across continents, through deserts, along coastlines, up mountain roads. Motorcycles weren't transportation for him. They were meditation, freedom, connection to the road, to the machine, to the moment. He'd co-founded Arch Motorcycle 10 years ago with Gar Hollinger. They built custom bikes, each one handcrafted, each one unique. Prices range from $85,000 to $150,000. Not for everyone, but for serious riders who appreciated artistry and engineering, Arch was the pinnacle. But even with his own company, Keanu loved looking at other builders' work, seeing what others were creating. Different approaches, different philosophies. He heard about a new shop, Apex Custom Motorcycles, opened 6 months ago in West Hollywood. Getting buzz, featured in some magazines. Social media presence strong. Young owners, claiming to represent the new generation of custom culture. He was curious, not to buy, just to see, to appreciate, maybe get ideas. Inspiration. That's how creativity worked. You absorbed influences, let them marinate, transform them into something new. He dressed casually. Dark jeans, black t-shirt, his worn leather jacket, the one he'd had for 15 years. Comfortable, broken in. He threw on his sunglasses, grabbed his keys, rode his own Arch to the shop. The KRGT-1 model. Sleek, powerful, $120,000 of hand-built perfection. But to look at him, you wouldn't know. Just a guy on a bike. Apex Custom Motorcycles was in a converted warehouse. Industrial neighborhood. Trendy now. Lots of galleries. Coffee shops. Boutiques. The exterior was minimalist. Matte black. Chrome lettering. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Inside visible. Pristine white floors. Dramatic lighting. Bikes displayed like art pieces. Keanu parked outside. Took off his helmet. Ran his hand through his hair. Walked to the entrance. Glass door. He pushed it open. Cool air conditioning hit. The space was impressive. Had to admit. 6 custom bikes on elevated platforms. Each lit from above. Industrial chic aesthetic. Concrete. Steel. Glass. 2 young guys stood near the back. Both mid-20s. One had a man bun. Sleeve tattoos. Tight jeans. Expensive sneakers. Namatak. Kyle. The other had undercut hair. Vintage band t-shirt. Also tattooed. Namatak. Brad. They were looking at their phones. Laughing about something. Keanu approached the nearest bike. Beautiful machine. Cafe racer style. Custom paint job. Deep blue. Metal flake. He leaned in. Appreciated the details. The craftsmanship in the exhaust work. The choice of components. Kyle noticed him. Glanced up. Did a quick assessment. Saw older guy. Graying beard. Worn jacket. Not the usual clientele. He nudged Brad. They exchanged a look. Kyle walked over. Plastered on a professional smile that didn't reach his eyes. Hey man, can I help you with something? Keanu straightened. Smiled genuinely. Just looking. Beautiful work. This the builder's own design? Yeah, everything here is custom. One of kind. Kyle's tone was polite, but slightly condescending. Like talking to someone who wouldn't understand. You ride? E-do. Long time. Cool, cool. What do you ride? Harley? Indian. Actually, I ride. Let me guess, Kyle interrupted. Touring bike? Something comfortable for weekend cruises? Keanu paused. I ride various bikes. Depends on the occasion. Brad walked over. Joined them. Looked Keanu up and down. You looking for something specific? Or just browsing? Just browsing. But I'm interested in that one. Keanu pointed to a bike in the back. Aggressive stance. Carbon fiber bodywork. Exposed engine. Price tag visible. $80,000. What can you tell me about it? Kyle and Brad exchanged another glance. Kyle spoke. That's our flagship build. Apex Predator. Track inspired. Street legal, but designed for performance. Not really a beginner bike. I've been riding 35 years. I think I can handle it. Oh, I'm sure you can ride, man. But this is different. This isn't the kind of motorcycle, that your generation grew up with. This is modern. Cutting edge. Electronics. Ride-by-wire throttle. Multiple riding modes. It's for younger riders who understand contemporary performance culture. Keanu's expression didn't change. Still calm. Still friendly. Contemporary performance culture. Yeah, Brad jumped in. No offense, dude. But this bike is for serious riders. The new generation. People who live this lifestyle. Not just weekend warriors or guys going through, He paused. Smirked. A midlife crisis thing. I see. Kyle continued, warming to his theme. I mean, if you're serious about getting into riding, we can point you towards something more appropriate. There's a Honda dealership couple blocks down. They have great touring bikes. Gold wing. Very comfortable. Lots of older guys love those. Cruise control. Heated grips. Stereo. Perfect for your demographic. My demographic. Yeah. No judgment. Just being real with you. These bikes. Kyle gestured around. These are for real riders. People who've dedicated their lives to the culture. Who understand the nuances. The engineering. The lifestyle. It's a young person's game now. Things have evolved. Brad nodded. Exactly. The industry's changed. The old guard is kinda outdated. No disrespect. It's just facts. Custom culture now is about innovation. Pushing boundaries. Not nostalgia. Keanu stood there. Absorbing. He could reveal who he was. Could mention Arch Motorcycle. Could explain his 35 years of riding experience. His engineering knowledge. His deep involvement in motorcycle culture. But what would that prove? That he deserved respect because of his credentials? That wasn't the point. The point was they were judging him based on age, on appearance, on their own narrow definition of who real riders were. And no amount of credentials would change that kind of thinking. Not in this moment. I understand, Keanu said quietly. Thanks for your time. No problem, man. Like I said, Honda dealership down the street. They'll take care of you. Keanu walked to the door. Neither Kyle nor Brad walked him out. They were already back to their phones. Chuckling. He heard Brad say, "Dude thought he could handle the Predator." "Okay, Grandpa." They laughed. Outside, Keanu stood by his bike. Took a breath. Felt the sun on his face. Wasn't angry. More bemused. And a little sad. Not for himself, but for them. For their limited perspective. Their assumption that age disqualified experience. That youth equaled expertise. He put his helmet on. Threw his leg over the arch. Started the engine. That beautiful deep rumble. The sound of $120,000 of hand-built engineering. He sat there a moment. Thought about just riding home. Letting it go. But then he thought about all the older riders out there. People who've been riding for decades. Who got dismissed. Underestimated. Told they were past their prime. He pulled out his phone. Called Guard Hollinger. His business partner. Friend. Fellow rider. Guard answered on the second ring. "Keanu. What's up? You busy tomorrow?" "Nothing that can't be moved." "What? Want to shoot some footage?" "Canyon roads. Show what old guys can do." Guard laughed. "Someone disrespect your riding?" "Something like that." "Say no more. I'll get the crew." "Mulholland." "Perfect. What are we proving?" "That age is just a number. That real riders don't have an expiration date. That some kids need education." "Amen to that." "See you at dawn." "See you at dawn." Keanu ended the call. Smiled. Not a vindictive smile. Just anticipation. He loved riding. Loved it more than almost anything. And tomorrow he'd get to do what he loved while making a small point. A gentle correction to an ageist assumption. He pulled into traffic. Headed home. The arch handled beautifully as always. Responsive. Powerful. Smooth. He took the long way. Through Laurel Canyon. Feeling the curves. The lean of the bike. The perfect balance point between control and surrender. This was why he rode. This feeling. This presence. This aliveness. By the time he got home, the sun was setting. Golden light across Los Angeles. He pulled into his garage. Parked the arch next to his other bikes. He had 7. Each different. Each for different purposes. Different moods. He wasn't a collector. He was a rider. These machines were tools. But also art. Also philosophy. He went inside. Made dinner. Simple pasta. Glass of wine. Sat on his deck. Looked at the city lights emerging as darkness fell. Thought about tomorrow's shoot. Nothing elaborate. Just him. His bike. The road. Maybe a few words. Keep it simple. Authentic. Let the writing speak. His phone buzzed. Text from guard. Crew confirmed. Camera car. Drone operator. We'll make it beautiful. Keanu typed back. Not too polished. Want it real. Understood. Raw but high quality. That arch aesthetic. Perfect. Keanu finished his wine. Went to bed early. Wanted to be sharp for tomorrow. When you rode at the level he rode, you needed focus. Especially on Mulholland. Those curves were no joke. Beautiful road. But dangerous if you weren't paying attention. Respected it. Like you should respect any machine. Any road. Any craft. He slept well. Dreamless. Woke at 5:30. No alarm. Just internal clock. Body new. Got up. Stretched. Light breakfast. Espresso. Gear check. His riding suit was high quality. Not flashy. Functional. Armor in the right places. Comfortable. Broken in. 6:15 he was on the arch. Heading to Mulholland. Early Sunday morning. Minimal traffic. Perfect. Guard was already there. The crew setting up. Camera car. Van with drone equipment. Small team. People Keanu knew. Had worked with before on arch promotional stuff. Morning, guard said. Big guy. Beard. Tattoos. 52 years old. Been building bikes longer than those Apex kids had been alive. Ready to show off? Not showing off. Just riding. Just riding. At a level 99% of riders will never achieve. No showing off at all. Keanu grinned. Okay, maybe a little. They discussed the route. Which sections to film. Where to position cameras. Wanted multiple angles. Wanted to capture the skill. The precision. The flow. This wasn't about speed. It was about mastery. About the dance between rider and machine and road. 7 a.m. They started filming. Keanu mounted the arch. Rolled to the starting position. The road stretched ahead. Curves visible. He knew this road. Had ridden it hundreds of times. Knew every turn. Every camber change. Every spot where pavement was rough. The camera car pulled ahead. Drone launched. Guard gave the signal. Keanu accelerated. Not aggressively. Smoothly. Building speed. Approaching the first curve. Body position shifted naturally. Decades of muscle memory. Leaned into the turn. Perfect line. Apex hit exactly. Throttle rolled on. Exiting clean. Next curve. Then next. Flowing. The bike responding to minute inputs. Weight shifts. Throttle control. Brake pressure. All unconscious now. Integrated. Rider and machine as one unit. This was what 35 years looked like. Not reckless. Not showy. Just profoundly competent. Beautiful in its efficiency. The drone caught overhead angles. The way the bike carved through corners. The lean angle. The control. The camera car got profile shots. Keanu's body position. The focus. The smoothness. Nothing jerky. Nothing uncertain. Pure flowing motion. They did several runs. Different sections. Different lighting as the sun rose higher. By 9 a.m., they had everything. Keanu pulled over. Removed his helmet. Face flushed. Smiling. That post-ride glow. The endorphins. The satisfaction. That was gorgeous, guard said. You were in the zone. Felt good. Really good. These kids at that shop have no idea, do they? Probably not. But they will. They reviewed footage on a laptop in the van. It was stunning. The riding was impeccable. But more than that, there was joy. Visible even through the helmet. Through the footage. Keanu loving every second. That was the real message. Not anger. Not revenge. Just pure love of riding. What are you going to say? Guard asked. In the caption? Something simple. Honest. Maybe a little cheeky. Not naming the shop? No need. If people figure out, they figure it out. But this isn't about destroying them. It's about correcting a misconception. About showing that riders don't age out. We just get better. They rapped. Thanked the crew. Keanu rode home. Content. He'd edit the footage later. Add music maybe. Something low-key. Then post it. He rarely used social media. His accounts existed but weren't super active. Which meant when he did post, people paid attention. That evening, he sat with his laptop. Edited the footage down to 2 minutes. Best moments. The riding. The road. The bike. Added a simple soundtrack. Instrumental. Something that felt like freedom. Like motion. No voiceover needed. The images told the story. He wrote the caption, read it over several times. Wanted the tone right. Finally settled on 35 years in the saddle. Built this machine with my own hands. But apparently not a real writer and too old for contemporary culture. Smiling face with smiling eyes, never too old. Never too late. Keep writing. Hashtag never too old. Hashtag arch motorcycle. He paused before hitting post. This would get attention. He knew that. Was he okay with that? Yes. Because the message mattered. Ageism was real. In every industry. Every culture. Motorcycles included. If he could use his platform to push back against that, even a little, it was worth it. He hit post. Closed the laptop. Went to bed. Tomorrow would be interesting. Keanu woke up to his phone buzzing. Multiple notifications. More than usual. He checked the time. 7 a.m., checked his phone. The video had been up for 9 hours. Already 3 million views. Comments flooding in. He scrolled through them. This is what real writing looks like. Respect. 35 years of experience shows. Every movement precise. Who told Keanu he was too old? That person needs to retire. The smoothness. The control. This is mastery. I'm 25 and I could never ride like this. Age brings skill. Someone had screen capped his caption. Posted it separately. That post was also going viral. People were speculating. What shop? What happened? Who disrespected Keanu Reeves of all people? By noon, the video hit 10 million views. News outlets started picking it up. Entertainment sites. Motorcykelblog. Everyone covering it. Keanu Reeves responds to ageism with stunning writing display. Actor proves age is just a number in viral motorcycle video. Keanu shows real riders how it's done. Guard called. You seeing this? Hard to miss. Arch website crashed. Too much traffic. We're getting hundreds of inquiries. Waitlist just doubled. This is insane. Didn't expect it to blow up like this. You never do, but always does. You're Keanu Reeves. You post a video of exceptional writing. Caption hints at disrespect. Of course it explodes. People love you. People love justice. You gave them both. I didn't name anyone. You didn't have to. Internet detectives are on it. Someone will figure out where you went yesterday. It's only a matter of time. Guard was right. By evening, someone had identified the shop. A motorcycle forum user posted, I think I know where this happened. Friend of mine was at Apex Custom Motorcycles yesterday afternoon. Said the staff was laughing about some older guy who came and wanted to look at expensive bikes. Timing matches. Location matches. Has to be Apex. The post got shared. Reshared. Cross-posted to Reddit. To Twitter. To Instagram. Within hours, Apex Custom Motorcycles was identified. Their social media accounts were flooded. Comments on every post. You really told Keanu Reeves he was too old? Imagine being this stupid. You disrespected a legend. Hope it was worth it. Their most recent Instagram post, a photo of the Apex Predator bike, had 3,000 comments. 99% negative. This bike isn't even in the same league as Arch. Keanu builds better bikes than you sell. Imagine having an ego this big with this little knowledge. You just ended your own business. Congratulations. Google reviews were getting bombed. 1 star after 1 star. Yelp the same. People who'd never been there leaving negative reviews. Others sharing experiences. I went there last month. Staff was condescending to my dad who's been riding 40 years. Makes sense now. Young guys playing dress up as bikers. No real knowledge. All attitude. Overpriced bikes. Terrible service. Ages staff. Avoid. Marcus Wayne, owner of Apex, was 35. He'd opened the shop with family money. Inheritance from his grandfather. He liked motorcycles. Liked the culture. The aesthetic. But he wasn't a lifelong rider. He'd been riding 5 years. Built his first custom 3 years ago. Fast-tracked into the industry through money and connections. He'd hired Kyle and Brad because they fit the image. Young. Good on social media. They'd grown the Instagram account to 50,000 followers. Got the shop featured in magazines. Marcus thought they were assets. Now they were liabilities. Monday morning, Marcus arrived at the shop. There were protesters outside. Not many. Maybe 10 people. But they had signs. Respect all riders. Age is experience. Keanu was right. He pushed past them. unlocked the door. Inside, Kyle and Brad were already there, looking at their phones, looking worried. "We need to talk," Marcus said. They went to the back office. Small space. Desk. Computer. Motorcycle posters on walls. Marcus closed the door. "What the hell happened Saturday?" Kyle and Brad exchanged looks. "What do you mean?" "The Keanu Reeves thing. That was here. That was you too. We didn't know it was Keanu Reeves." "That makes it worse. You dismissed a potential customer, told him he was too old, sent him to a Honda dealership. Do you understand how bad this looks?" Brad defensive. "We were just being honest. The guy looked like a weekend warrior. We get those all the time. Tire kickers, not serious buyers. He was serious enough to build his own motorcycle company. Arch is worth millions. Their bikes are better than anything we sell. And you told him to go look at touring bikes." Kyle protested. "How are we supposed to know? He wasn't dressed like a celebrity. Didn't introduce himself. Just looked like some old dude. That's exactly the problem. You judged him, based on age, on appearance. And now it's everywhere. We're being destroyed online. Customers are canceling orders. We've lost 3 deposits this morning alone. So what do we do?" Marcus thought. He needed to control the damage. "First, we apologize. Publicly. Take responsibility. Fire you too." "Wait, what?" "I have to. The business is on the line. If I don't show consequences, we're done. You two are the face of this. You're in the story. You have to go." Kyle stood up, angry. "You're throwing us under the bus. You threw yourselves under the bus. I'm trying to save the business. Write me your resignations. Effective immediately. I'll pay you through the end of the month. But you need to go. Now." They argued, but Marcus was firm. By noon, Kyle and Brad were gone. Marcus drafted a statement, posted it across all social media platforms. "We at Apex Custom Motorcycles deeply apologize for the unacceptable treatment a customer received at our shop. The ageist and dismissive comments made by our staff do not reflect our values. The employees responsible have been terminated. We are committed to serving all riders with respect, regardless of age. We recognize we failed. We will do better." The response was mixed. Some appreciated the apology. Good. Actions have consequences. At least they're taking it seriously. But others were skeptical. Only apologizing because you got caught. Firing employees to save face. Classy. The owner hired them. This is his culture. He's responsible too. And they were right. Marcus had created the culture. Had hired based on image over knowledge. Had encouraged the exclusive, gatekeeping vibe. He thought it made the shop seem elite. Instead, it made it elitist. There was a difference. By the end of the week, the video had 50 million views. It was everywhere. Entertainment news. Motorcycle news. Mainstream news. Everyone wanted to talk about it. Keanu's publicist, Lisa, fielded interview requests. Most he declined, but he agreed to one. With a major motorcycle magazine. Long form. Thoughtful. The interview happened over Zoom. The journalist, a woman named Sarah Chun, was a serious writer herself. Understood the culture. She started gently. "Keanu, the video's been seen by millions. What was your goal in posting it?" "Honestly, just to show that age doesn't disqualify you for being a serious writer. I've been writing 35 years. I love it. I'm good at it. But I got dismissed because of gray hair. That happens to a lot of older writers. Want to push back a little. Did you expect this level of response?" "No, not at all. I thought maybe my followers would see it. Get the message. Didn't anticipate it going this viral. The shop has been identified. They're facing significant backlash. How do you feel about that?" "Conflicted. I didn't name them. Didn't want to destroy a business. Just wanted to correct a misconception. But the internet does what the internet does. I hope they learn from this. Hope the industry learns." What should they learn? That riders come in all ages, all backgrounds, all appearances. You can't judge someone's skill or passion by looking at them. Experience matters. Older riders have been doing this longer. That should be respected, not dismissed. You co-founded Arch Motorcycle. Tell us about that. Keanu's face lit up. This was what he wanted to talk about. Not drama, but bikes. Gard Hollinger and I started Arch 10 years ago. We both loved motorcycles. Wanted to build something special. Handcrafted. Unique. Every bike is custom. built to the rider's specifications. It's not mass production. It's art. Your bikes are expensive. 85,000 and up. Who's your typical customer? People who appreciate craftsmanship, who understand that quality takes time, takes skill. We're not trying to compete with mass market bikes. We're creating something different, something personal, and you're involved in every aspect. Absolutely. I'm not just a name. I'm in the shop, testing bikes, working on designs, writing prototypes. This isn't a vanity project. It's a passion project. The interview continued for an hour. Sarah asked about his riding history, his favorite roads, his philosophy on motorcycles. It was a good interview, substantive. When it published the following week, it would remind people what this was really about. Not drama, but love of riding. Meanwhile, Apex was dying. Traffic to their shop dropped to almost nothing. The protesters had dispersed, but the damage was done. Reputation destroyed. Marcus tried everything. Rebranding. Sales. Tool. Nothing worked. 3 months after the incident, he closed the doors, liquidated inventory, sold the remaining bikes at loss. The shop was finished. Kyle and Brad couldn't find work in the industry. Their names were toxic. Google searches brought up the Keanu incident immediately. No shop wanted that association. Kyle moved back to his hometown, got a job at his uncle's car dealership. Nothing to do with motorcycles. Brad went into tech. Startup job. Left the motorcycle world entirely. But Kyle couldn't let it go. He watched Keanu's video repeatedly. Read everything about Arch Motorcycle, about Keanu's riding history, the stunts he'd done, the bikes he'd ridden, the passion spanning decades. Kyle felt shame, deep, burning shame, not just for being rude to a celebrity, but for dismissing someone who'd forgotten more about motorcycles than Kyle would ever know. He started researching, learning, really learning, not just about bikes, about culture, about respect, about how communities function. He read about gatekeeping, about how excluding people damages communities, makes them smaller, weaker, less diverse. One night, drunk and emotional, he wrote a letter, actual letter, on paper, not email, to Keanu, care of Arch Motorcycle. He didn't expect a response, just needed to say it. Dear Keanu, you don't know me, but I'm Kyle. I was the guy at Apex, the one who told you to go look at touring bikes, who dismissed you because of your age. I've replayed that day 1,000 times. Each time I feel sicker, not because you're famous, but because you were a rider, a real rider, with more experience than I'll ever have. And I treated you like you didn't belong, like your decades of passion meant nothing because you had gray hair. I was wrong, completely, inexcusably wrong. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm writing because I needed you to know I understand now. I understand what I did, why it was harmful, not just to you, but to everyone I ever made feel unwelcome. Every older rider I smirked at, every person I judged. I lost my job, my reputation. I deserve that. But more than that, I lost my connection to something I thought I loved. Motorcycles. Turns out I love the image, the aesthetic, the status, not the actual culture, not the riding, not the community. You showed me the difference. Your video wasn't about showing off. It was about joy. You were smiling, loving every turn. That's what real riders look like. I never had that. I was too busy posing. I'm done with motorcycles professionally. But I'm trying to learn, really learn, about respect, about humility, about seeing people as people, not stereotypes. Thank you for that lesson. Even though I learned it the hardest way possible. I hope you keep riding forever. Keep building beautiful bikes. Keep showing people what passion looks like. The world needs that example. Respectfully, Kyle. He mailed it. Didn't expect anything. It was for him to acknowledge, to own, to close that chapter. But 3 weeks later, he got a response. Not a letter, an email from an Arch Motorcycle address. He opened it with shaking hands. Kyle, got your letter. Appreciate the honesty. Takes courage to admit mistakes, especially publicly. I forgive you, not because you asked, but because holding on to anger doesn't serve anyone. You were young, insecure, trying to prove something. We've all been there. The difference is your mistake was filmed and went viral. That's rough, but it's also an opportunity to learn, to grow, to become better. If you're serious about motorcycles, about culture, not the image, but the substance, come visit Arch. Not for a job, for education. See what real craftsmanship looks like. What real passion looks like. No ego, just love of the machine. Let me know. Keanu. Kyle read it 5 times. Cried the 6th. Keanu Reeves, who he disrespected, was offering him grace. Education. A path forward. He replied immediately. I would be honored. Thank you. When can I come? Next Tuesday. 10 a.m. Address below. Come ready to listen. Tuesday morning, Kyle drove to the Arch Motorcycle Workshop. It was in Hawthorne, south of LAX. Industrial area. Modest building. No flashy signage. Just a small logo by the entrance. He almost drove past it. Expected something grander. More ostentatious. This was understated. Intentional. He parked. Sat in his car a moment. Nervous. Hands sweating. This was Keanu Reeves. The man he'd humiliated himself in front of. The man whose grace was allowing this visit. He took a breath. Got out. Walked to the entrance. Pressed the buzzer. A voice through the intercom. Yes. Kyle. I'm here to see Keanu. Come in. The door clicked open. He entered. The space was clean. Organized. But clearly a working shop. Tools on walls. Bikes in various stages of assembly. The smell of metal. Oil. Paint. 3 people working. All older. 40s. 50s. Focused on their tasks. Didn't look up. Guard Hollinger approached. Big man. Beard going gray. Intense eyes. Kyle. Yes, sir. Guard. I'm Keanu's partner. Welcome. He extended a hand. Kyle shook it. Firm grip. Keanu's in the back. But first, let me show you around. Give you context. They walked through the shop. Guard explained the process. Every Arch starts as an idea. A conversation with the customer. What do they want? How do they ride? What's their style? We don't do cookie cutter. We do bespoke. He showed Kyle a bike in progress. Frame border. This is for a client in Japan. 6'4". Needs custom ergonomics. We're building the frame from scratch. Adjusting geometry. Rake. Trail. Seat height. Everything tailored. How long does it take? 6 months minimum. Often longer. We don't rush. Can't rush quality. Each bike gets hundreds of hours. Multiple craftsmen. Every weld inspected. Every component tested. By the time it leaves here, it's perfect. They move to another area. Paint booth. Our paint guy, Ray, has been doing this 30 years. Look at this finish. Guard pointed to a tank. Deep black, but not flat. Layers visible. Depth. 7 coats. Hand sanded between each. This is art. Kyle was overwhelmed. Apex had been about speed. Flash. Get bikes out fast. Look cool. Make sales. This was different. This was craft. Mastery. Respect for the process. How many bikes do you build a year? 50 to 60. Could do more. Could scale up. But why? We'd sacrifice quality. We'd become what we're not. We're not a factory. We're a workshop. Every bike matters. They reached the back. Small office. Glass walls looking into the shop. Keanu was there. On the phone. He saw them. Held up one finger. 1 minute. He finished the call. Stood. Came out. Kyle. Thanks for coming. Thank you for having me. I don't deserve this. Let's not start there. You wrote a letter. Took responsibility. That's more than most people do. Let's build from there. They sat. Guard joined. Keanu started. Guard showed you the process? Yes. It's incredible. Nothing like Apex. Different philosophies. Apex was about volume. Image. We're about craft. Passion. Neither is wrong. But one is more sustainable. More meaningful. At least to us. I see that now. I thought I understood motorcycles. Turns out I understood marketing. Keanu nodded. Marketing has its place. But it can't be the foundation. The foundation has to be real. Real skill. Real knowledge. Real love of the machine. Everything else builds from there. How did you learn? I mean, you're an actor. How did you become this? Kyle gestured around. 35 years. That's how. I started riding at 23. Fell in love immediately. Took classes. Advanced riding courses. Track days. Read everything. Talk to builders. Mechanics. Legends. I didn't assume I knew. I assumed I had everything to learn. Still do. Guard added. Keanu's ridden across continents. Deserts. Mountains. Zen. Snow. He's crashed. Been injured. Got back on. That's real riding. Not Instagram posts. Real miles. Real experience. An arch. Kyle asked, "How did that start?" Keanu smiled. "Memories. Guard and I met through bikes. I wanted a custom build. Came to his shop. We started talking. Found we had similar philosophies. Similar frustrations with the industry. Too much flash. Not enough substance. We thought, what if we built bikes our way? No compromisos. Just quality. So we did. Was it hard? Starting a company? Incredibly. We almost went bankrupt the first 3 years. Building bikes this way is expensive, time-consuming. Customers weren't used to waiting, paying these prices. But we stuck with it, believed in what we were doing. Gradually, people understood, appreciated. Now we have a 2-year wait list." Kyle shook his head. "And I told you go look at Hondas." Keanu laughed. "You did. And you know what? Hondas are great bikes. Reliable. Well-engineered. No shame in riding a Honda. The problem wasn't the recommendation. It was the assumption that I couldn't handle something advanced, that my age disqualified me. I was projecting my own insecurity. Probably. Most gatekeeping is. People who feel unsure of their place try to keep others out. Makes them feel more secure, more legitimate. But it's backwards. Real confidence is inclusive. Welcomes everyone. Learns from everyone." Guard stood. "Come on. Let's go for a ride. Now." "Yeah. You ride, don't you? Eat dull. But not well. Not like you guys. Nobody said you had to be. Just need to be willing. We got a loaner. Standard bike. Nothing fancy. Let's hit some local roads. Talk while we ride." 20 minutes later, they were geared up. Kyle on an Arch Method 143. Entry-level model. Still $85,000. Still hand-built. Still incredible. Keanu on his KRG-1. Guard on his personal build. Custom one-off. They rolled out. Through industrial streets. To the 405 freeway. Then up into the hills. Mulholland. The same road from the video. Kyle was nervous. Trying not to embarrass himself. Trying to keep up. But they weren't going fast. Just cruising. Enjoying the curves. The views. The experience. They pulled over at a scenic overlook. Removed helmets. Looked at Los Angeles spread below. Keanu spoke. "What do you feel right now?" Kyle thought. Nervous. Excited. Grateful. Overwhelmed. Why nervous? Because I'm riding with legends. Because I'm not good enough to be here. Says who? You're on a bike. On a beautiful road. That's enough. You don't need to be the best. Just present. Enjoying it. That's what riding is. Not competition. Not proving anything. Just being here. Now. On the machine. Guard added, "Kyle, I've been building bikes 40 years. Ridden longer than that. And I still learn every time I ride. Still make mistakes. Still have moments of fear. That never stops. Experience doesn't eliminate that. It just teaches you to work with it. Not against it." They rode more. Stopped at a diner. Had coffee. Talked about bikes. About life. About mistakes and growth. Keanu shared stories. Times he'd been arrogant. Times he'd judged people unfairly. Times he'd had to learn humility the hard way. "I'm not some enlightened being," Keanu said. "I've been the asshole. Multiple times. The difference is I try to learn. Try to do better. That's all any of us can do." By the time they returned to the shop, it was late afternoon. Kyle felt different. Lighter. Less burdened. Not because he was forgiven, but because he understood. Understood what he'd lost. What he'd never had. Real connection to riding. Real respect for the culture. "Thank you," Kyle said at the parking lot. This meant everything. "Come back," Keanu said. "Anytime. We're usually here. Watch. Learn. If you want to really understand bikes, this is where you do it. Not by selling them. By building them. By riding them. By respecting them. I will. I promise." Kyle drove home. Mind racing. He'd gone into motorcycles for the wrong reasons. Image. Status. Cool factor. He'd never actually loved the machines. Never respected the craft. Never understood the community. But now he'd seen what it could be. What should be. And he wanted that. Not professionally. That ship had sailed. But personally. For himself. Over the following months, Kyle became a regular at Arch. Not an employee. A student. He'd come in on weekends. Watch the craftsmen work. Ask questions. Listen to answers. Guard taught him about geometry, about how rake and trail affected handling. Ray, the paint guy, showed him layering techniques, how to see depth in finishes. Keanu would take him riding occasionally. Nothing intense, just miles. Conversations on bikes. Lessons not about technique, but about philosophy, about why riding mattered, what it taught, how it changed you. Kyle also started volunteering at a community workshop, nonprofit in South LA, teaching kids basic mechanics, bicycle repair mostly, but some motorcycle work, small engine stuff. He approached it differently than he'd approached Apex. No ego, no gatekeeping, just service, just sharing knowledge. One Saturday, a kid asked him, "Have you met any famous riders?" Kyle paused. "Yeah, I've met Keanu Reeves." "No way. What's he like?" "Kind, patient, really loves motorcycles. He taught me that it's not about being the best. It's about respect for the machine, for other riders, for the culture, that everyone belongs if they're willing to learn. Even kids like us, especially kids like you. You're the future. You get to build the culture you want. Make it inclusive. Make it about passion, not posing. That's what real riders do." The kid smiled, went back to working on his bicycle. Kyle watched, felt something he'd never felt at Apex. Purpose. Real purpose. Not selling expensive toys to rich people, but passing on knowledge, building community, honoring the craft. 1 year after the incident, the video was still circulating, still referenced, still used in think pieces about ageism, about respect, about how assumptions hurt everyone. Keanu rarely thought about it anymore, had moved on, but occasionally someone would bring it up, ask about it. In an interview with a documentary crew filming about Arch, the director asked, "That viral video, the one where you responded to being called too old, do you regret posting it?" Keanu thought, "No, not regret. It accomplished something positive. Started conversations about ageism in motorcycle culture, in all cultures. Made people think twice about dismissing others based on age. That's valuable." The shop closed. People lost jobs. Do you feel responsible? I feel sad about it. But I didn't close the shop. Their culture closed the shop. Their approach to customers, to community. I just highlighted a problem that already existed. The internet did the rest. Could I have not posted? Sure. But then the problem continues. Invisible, unchallenged. Sometimes making problems visible is necessary, even if consequences follow. What happened to the employees? Kyle and Brad. I don't know about Brad, but Kyle reached out, apologized. We stayed in touch. He's doing good work now. Community education, teaching kids about mechanics, about respect. He learned, grew. That matters more than the initial mistake. Would you hire him? At Arch, not in sales, but in education, community outreach? Maybe, if he wanted that. He's earned a second chance, not because of me, because of the work he did on himself. The documentary, when it released on Netflix 6 months later, was beautiful. 45 minutes about Arch, about craft, about philosophy of building, about Keanu and Guard's partnership, about the team of craftsmen, about customers and their stories. The viral video incident was mentioned briefly. 3 minutes. Just context, not the focus. The focus was the work, the passion, the beauty of hand-built machines. The documentary inspired thousands. Applications to technical schools increased. Interest in motorcycle mechanics surged. A new generation wanted to learn the craft properly, for masters, not YouTube, not quick fixes, real apprenticeship, real learning. Arch couldn't hire everyone interested, but they started a program, scholarships, sent promising students to trade schools, paid tuition. In exchange, students committed to 5 years in the industry, working, learning, passing it on. Keanu funded it personally, called it the Never Too Old, Never Too Young Scholarship, for students of all ages, traditional college age, career changers, retirees wanting new skills. Everyone welcome. 2 years after the incident, Keanu was invited to speak at a motorcycle industry conference. He rarely did public speaking, but the topic interested him. Building inclusive motorcycle culture. He accepted. The venue was packed. 2,000 people. Industry veterans. Shop owners. builders, riders, media. He stood at the podium. No script, just thoughts. I'm here because 2 years ago, someone assumed I was too old to ride, to understand, to belong. That assumption went viral. But it wasn't unique. It happens every day, to older riders, to women, to people of color, to anyone who doesn't fit someone's narrow image of what a rider should be. We have a gatekeeping problem. It's killing our culture, killing our industry, because every person we turn away is a potential lifelong rider, a potential builder, a potential advocate. We can't afford to exclude. None of us can. The solution isn't complicated. It's simple. Respect. Assume good intent. Welcome questions. Celebrate diversity of experience. Old riders have wisdom. Young riders have energy. New riders have enthusiasm. Experienced riders have skill. All of it matters. All of it enriches the culture. At Arch, we build bikes for anyone willing to wait for quality. We don't care about age, gender, background, just passion. That's our only requirement. Passion for the machine, for the craft, for the ride. I encourage everyone here to adopt similar philosophy, not because it's nice, but because it's smart. Inclusive culturis grow. Exclusive culturisti. Choose growth. The room erupted in applause. Standing ovation. Not for him personally, but for the message. People were hungry for this. Tired of gatekeeping. Tired of arbitrary rules about who belonged. Ready for something better. After the speech, dozens approached. Shared stories. Thanked him. One older woman, 72, said she'd been riding 50 years. Still got condescension at shops. They treat me like I'm confused. Like I can't possibly know what I want. I've probably ridden more miles than they've been alive. Your video gave me language. Validation. Thank you. A young black man, 28, said he'd been told motorcycles were white culture, that he didn't belong. But I love riding. I'm good at it. Your message that everyone belongs? That helped. Made me stop doubting. Start owning my place in this community. Story after story. Different people. Different challenges. Same core issue. Gatekeeping. Exclusion. Assumptions. And same solution. Radical inclusion. Respect. Welcome. 3 years after the incident, Ka was offered a job. Not at Arch. At a motorcycle museum. Curator of educational programs. Developing workshops. Teaching history. Bringing in diverses speakers. Building programming for all ages. He almost didn't apply. Thought his past would disqualify him. But he sent the application. Included a letter explaining the Apex incident. What he'd learned. How he'd grown. They interviewed him. Loved his honesty. His humility. His clear passion for education and inclusion. Hired him. He started in the spring. His first program was called Riders of All Ages. Brought in motorcyclists from their 20s to their 80s. Each share their story. Their journey. Their love of riding. The diversity was beautiful. Inspiring. Attendance was huge. Keanu came to one session. Unannounced. Sat in the back. Watched Kyle facilitate. Watched the panelists share. Watched the audience engage. Afterwards, he approached Kyle. This is good work. Keanu, I didn't know you were here. Wanted to see what you were building. It's great. Really great. I learned from you. From Arch. That it's about community. About lifting everyone. You're doing that. Keep going. They hugged. No cameras. No publicity. Just two people who'd been on a journey together. Who'd both grown. Both learned. Both committed to something larger than themselves. 5 years after the video, it was still occasionally referenced. But differently now. Not as drama. As legend. As teaching moment. Business schools used it. Leadership courses. Marketing classes. The lesson wasn't about revenge. Or viral moments. But about authenticity. About standing up against prejudice. About how one person's response can shift culture. The video itself became almost secondary. What mattered more was what followed. The conversation started. The policies changed. The minds opened. Arch's scholarship program had funded 200 students. Many now working. Building bikes. Teaching others. The ripple effect. Kyle's museum programs reached thousands. Kids who'd never considered motorcycles now interested. Adults who'd been intimidated now welcome. Seniors who'd been dismissed now celebrated. Culture shifting. Slowly. Imperfectly, but genuinely. Apex was forgotten. The shop was gone. The name meant nothing now. Kyle and Brad had gone different directions. Kyle toward redemption and service. Brad toward complete career change. No contact between them. Different paths. Different lessons. Marcus Wayne, the former owner, opened a coffee shop. Nothing to do with motorcycles. He'd lost his passion for the culture. The business failure too painful. But he'd learned about listening. About culture. About consequences. His coffee shop had good reputation. Fair treatment. No gatekeeping. Different industry. Same lessons. Keanu continued riding. Building bikes. Living his passion. The video was a tiny moment in a long life. Barely significant to him personally. But he understood its impact on others. The permission it gave. The validation. The reminder that you don't age out of passion. You age into deeper understanding. Richer experience. Greater appreciation. He was 63 now. Still riding at level most 30-year-olds couldn't match. Still building bikes. Still learning. Still growing. Still welcoming everyone to the culture he loved. Because that was the point. Not proving his skill, but opening doors. Making space. Building community where everyone belonged. Where age was asset, not liability. Where experience was honored, not dismissed. Where respect was standard, not exception. That was legacy, not a viral video. But changed culture. Changed minds. Changed lives. One person at a time. One interaction at a time. One choice to include rather than exclude at a time. Building something better. Something lasting. Something worth more than views or likes or momentary fame. Something real.